Hi guys, today we're going to be taking a look at one of Cooler Master's latest cases to join their gaming division, CM Storm. Now it's fair to say that the original Scout was a popular case, but its design and its styling was unfortunately quite dated and very sharp and uninspiring. But with the Scout 2, things are about to change. We've got a fresh new look, it's a lot sleeker, and of course with that it's much more in keeping with the way gaming cases are nowadays. So for example, up at the top we've got a new handle which has been redesigned. It's got reinforcement there to make it a lot more sturdy and more comfortable in the hand, when you're transporting it to lands and different events and stuff like that. So with that brief introduction, we're going to take a look at the case from the outside, go inside, have a look at that, look at the clearance options so you know what sort of hardware you can put inside. And we're going to give our verdict at the end, draw our thoughts to a conclusion, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, we'll start by taking a look at the front of the case. As you can see, it's predominantly plastic around that outer edge, and then in the centre we've got the perforated mesh. Now on the lower section we've got the CM Storm logo, and that perforated mesh just allows the air to enter into the case because we've got placements there for dual 120mm fans. Now we don't have any intake fans provided, which is a bit of an odd sort of design concept to undertake. Usually you do get the fans there on a typical case. Now above this we've got 3 5¼ bay covers, and those are removable from the inside of the case, and they follow that same sort of design with the perforated mesh. Now the front panel controls are found at the top of the case, and these are separated into two different sections. The first is at the front here with this cover, and that just helps to keep them concealed and dust free. We've got the activity LED at the front there, which will emit a red glow when it's powered up. This just slides back like this, and then we've got access there to a headphone and a microphone jack, dual USB 3 ports, those are via the motherboard header, and then we've got dual USB 2 ports. And then further back we've got the CM Storm engraved on the top there. Then we've got this button which allows you to turn on and off the lighting at the back for the rear exhaust. We've got in the centre a power button, and then over on the right a reset button. Up at the top beyond these buttons is the carry handle. Now the idea with Scout 2 is you're able to transport this case to and from places like your friend's house or even a LAN party. And this handle is going to be ideal for completing such a thing. Now the crossbar is reinforced, and it has this material which is a soft rubber to allow non-slip, and it's also quite nice and comfortable in your hand. Now I have tested transporting this case around with a full system inside, and obviously the case itself is around 8.5 kilos, and then you're going to drop in your hardware, it's going to be around 5 or so kilos, and it does sustain that weight no problem. Taking a look at the side panels, we've got this convex design which has been implemented on both the prominent side and on the reverse. On the reverse obviously we've got greater cable management capabilities with that additional space, and then on this prominent side we've got additional clearance for bigger CPU coolers, so perhaps you can get away with 1 or 2 centimeters more than you would do if it was flat. So that's nice and handy to have. And then on this prominent side we've also got half-size perspex window allowing you to look inside the system, and beneath that we've got dual 120mm placements for attaching cooling fans just near the graphics card region. Now I have removed the thumb screws, which there's 2 on this side and then 2 on the other side, and then this just slides off like this. You can see there, this is the side panel, and no flexing at all. It is really sturdy, so that's nice to see. Always good to see a side panel that doesn't flex and doesn't wobble. So with that side panel removed, we've got a nice look at the system inside. As you can see, I've got my ATX system already installed. This gives you an idea for what sort of hardware you can get inside here, and also the clearance options, compatibility and things like that. You've got a really nice clean tidy setup thanks to the cable management options inside Scout 2. Behind that motherboard tray we've got a real nice generous amount of clearance, which we will go and take a look at in a bit, and obviously the routing, the grommets, that all helps to make a nice clean system. We've got toolless design mechanisms for optical drive, for the hard disk drive storage, and for graphics card installation. And there's plenty more features which we're going to explore as we go inside the case. Okay, so to start with, we'll take a look at the power supply area. As you can see, the power supply is sitting there, and underneath there, we've got the anti-vibration rubber pads. This helps with the cushioning. Obviously, we've got a metal power supply. The case is metal as well, and we don't want any scratching, so that's a nice thing that they've incorporated into the case. That also brings in anti-vibration, because obviously the power supply is going to be spinning. Next to this, we've got another slot for 120mm fan, just to apply to the bottom of the case for extra cooling. And underneath the power supply, we've got an air filter which is removable. I'll just pull this out. Now it is really quite difficult to get at this because the lip sits quite far underneath the case, and the clearance between the bottom of the case and the floor is so minimal that you can hardly get at it. So just to help, I'm going to tilt the case slightly up like this to remove it, and you may well need to do that yourself. As you can see there, that's the air filter, and you can take that out and clean it if it does get dusty. Above this, there are 7 PCI expansion covers. Each of them have the respective thumb screws for easy removal, and then to the side there's a vertically aligned slot, and this has a storm guard cover already installed. For those who don't know what storm guard is, basically this helps to prevent the theft of peripherals. What you do is you weave your cable in and out of the brackets on the cover. Now in terms of cooling, Scout 2 only comes with a single fan, and although we've got different placements throughout the case, for attaching those fans in different places, it's going to be this rear exhaust, this 120mm rear exhaust, which has a responsibility for assisting with heat dissipation. So as you can imagine, the default thermal performance isn't going to be as effective as it would do with intakes at the front. Now this 120mm fan emits a red glow when we've got it powered up, and the lighting can be switched on and off at the front. And as I explained earlier, at the top we've got 2 placements here for dual 120mm fans. At the top there, you just need to apply the screws. Over on the other side, we've got 3 5¼ bays. Each of these come with the toolless design mechanism which we've seen on many Cooler Master cases in the past, and to get your drive in, it's just a case of flicking it into the open position, dropping your drive in, and then flicking it back. And what that does is it just drops in 2 pins into your drive, and it secures it from that side. Beneath this, there are 2 hard disk drive cages, and in total we can host up to 7 drives. Now there are only 2 options if you've got a 2.5-inch drive like an SSD, and these mount onto this bracket here, and you can mount the drive onto the top or onto the reverse, so you can have 2 drives onto that at the same time. And then for the 3.5-inch drive, what you need to do is, I'll just show you, I've already got this 3.5-inch drive installed here, and we've got these brackets which just fit into the mounting holes like that, and then they just slide back into the cage like so. And this upper hard disk drive cage can actually be removed for better graphics card compatibility. You just need to remove various screws, and then that just comes out. Now behind the hard disk drive storage, we can drop in dual 120mm fans or a single 140mm fan, and again those don't come included. Onto the topic of clearance, for the CPU cooler, as you can see it's very tight. We've got the Noctua U12P, which is 158mm in height, and you can see the top of the heat pipes to the side. There isn't a great deal of distance between the side panel and those heat pipes. Don't forget though, we have got a convex side panel, and that's going to allow for greater distance, just a few millimeters. So you're going to be able to drop in the bigger CPU coolers like your Noctua NH-D14, Thermalright Silver Arrow, Alpenfoam K2, which are all 160mm. Now for graphics card clearance, we can obviously take that upper hard disk drive cage out, and that's going to give unlimited amount of clearance, and obviously we can pop in any current graphics card on the market. But with the hard disk drive cage installed, we've got approximately 10.5 inches. You can see there my graphics card here, which is the XFX 7970 double D version, and that's 10.5 inches. We've got the connectors facing us, so that's an advantage obviously for the one on the end, we would have trouble. But you know, that's pretty much as you can get away with in this case. Behind the motherboard tray there's a nice 2.3 centimeters of clearance between it and the side panel. Again, it's worth noting there's additional space there because of that convex side panel. As you can see, thanks to the space and the rubber grommets, it's really easy to keep on top of the cable management. Okay guys, so as a final clip, I'm just going to show you how loud the case fan is inside our Scout 2. As always, I'm going to power the system up, take the microphone off, get it sort of in a region of on the outside, on the inside, just to give you a rough idea for the noise levels that you can expect. So we'll power the system up, take my microphone off. So that should give you a rough idea. As you know, with just having a single fan there, and it doesn't spin altogether that fast. I think it's around 1000 RPM. It's not actually going to emit that much noise. Okay guys, well that concludes our video today. Sorry it's been such a while since the last review. Unfortunately, it's just been so busy, I've not been able to get anything out. But anyway, back to Scout 2. The things that we like about this case: the new look. You know, the facelift is giving it a massive boost compared to the original Scout. You know, massive improvement over the original. The appearance is really nice. Build quality as well is really good, both on the outside and on the inside. Very sturdy chassis. As is the cable management, that's a great thing too. You know, you can see that I've been able to keep the system really nice and tidy. And thanks to the clearance, the grommets, and just the general space, you're able to control that sort of thing really easy. And when you're building the system, that's what you want. You really want to be able to tuck away those cables and create a nice tidy environment. There are unfortunately a few niggles though. Obviously some of you may well have already picked up on it. Single fan at the back breaks away from traditional airflow, which you would typically have at least one or two fans at the front here, taking the airflow across the system and then out through the back like this. So relying on just an exhaust fan there to take that heat out the system, it's obviously not going to be as effective, and as a result the thermal performance isn't the best. You know, there are spaces in there for dropping in a fan, but they don't come as default. And that then leads us to the next thing, the price. You're looking at around £85 in the UK, and then in the States $100 US. And you know, reflective of the things that you get inside, just one fan, it really should be a little bit lower. You're looking at, I think, probably about £10 or £15 cheaper than it actually is. You've got to remember that the Enforcer, which is in the same CM Storm series, is a very similar chassis, albeit a little bit smaller. So really there should be, you know, the gulf between the two prices should be smaller. It shouldn't be as vast. But you know, it's a good case. You've seen the video today, you've seen the benefits of this case and the features that you get. It's always very good from Cooler Master. So that pretty much concludes our video today. Thanks very much for watching. If you can subscribe, I would appreciate that. If you want a bit more detail, want to know what the thermal performance is like for Scout 2, head on over to vortez.net. The link is in the description, and I shall see you soon.